he's got to get this team to the playoffs. If he wants to be in that category, then he's got to raise his game. And if he raises his game, they're gonna profit because of it.
Making his return for in-season coverage, it's our guy, NFL insider analyst Brian Baldinger. Baldy's breakdowns finally back. Baldy, how was your offseason first and foremost?
My offseason was good. I mean, I had some good trips, finishing up with a trip to Asia, Japan, and Korea. That was the last trip, but, it was diving with sharks and, it was all over Central America. I had a good time, but in between, I covered the league pretty good. Got some football stuff done. So I'm juiced. I'm recharged. I'm ready to roll here.
Baldy, during the offseason, it was an eventful one for Monty Ossenfort and the Arizona Cardinals. They upgraded, especially on the defensive side of the football. What, in your opinion, was maybe the most impactful move and roster change to the Cards going into 2025?
I don't know if there's one. I mean, obviously bringing in Josh, and bringing in Barron and some edge rushers and Dalvin and Calais. I mean, they upgraded the whole defensive front, and so that to me, that's where you win games. You win games in the trenches. Monty knows that. That's not a secret in this league, but you've got to have depth there. You got to have playmakers there. You got to affect the quarterback. Nick could do some things with the way that he sort of, picks and chooses his pressures, which are pretty good. But, you need to be able to win the line of scrimmage. And so I thought I saw Calais at the Sack Summit this year. I mean, he's just, we all should be eating whatever Calais is eating. He's pretty ageless. I think he still has some good football left. But, I mean, regardless, they've got some beef up there. They've got some rushers up there. That's a good start for me.
We're going to get into some of the personnel decisions. They made a ton defensively. The offense, Baldy, they're essentially running it back from last year. They brought, Will Hernandez back this week. Isaiah Adams looked great. We'll break that down. But it starts and ends with Kyler Murray and now Marvin Harrison Jr. in year 2. He's bulked up. He looks bigger. Does he play bigger? What have you seen from a player that the Cardinals are basically do or die with this season?
Well, he's got to be dominant. You got to have a number one. You got to have especially with Kyler. Kyler's we look, I'm not going to say anything about his limitations, but he needs a big X receiver to dominate. That's what Justin Jefferson does. That's what Jamar Chase does. I mean, these guys that have been picked at the very top of the draft, A.J. Brown, they make the difference. Whether it's third downs, red zone, fourth down, you need to play. The whole stadium can know that the ball's going to Marvin Harrison. He's got to win. He's got to be able to make that play. And so, look, the first catch the other day going down to get the ball, it was thrown with anticipation. It was thrown with timing. It was a good throw in the middle of the field like that. He went down to get it. I didn't necessarily think he needed to lose his feet to go catch that ball. Kind of like to see him catch it off his shoestrings and keep going. But regardless, they need him to be great. They picked him as high as you could pick a guy at that position. Larry Fitzgerald was great. And he helped them get to a Super Bowl and to playoffs. They need him to be like that player, like Larry.
Yeah, I mean, look, first non-quarterback off the board in the 2024 draft was Marvin Harrison Jr. And, pretty pedestrian numbers considering what the expectations were, but eerily similar to his father and nothing to kind of turn your nose up at either. 900 yards, 8 touchdowns, but the expectation, Baldy, for him to make a major jump in year 2. And when I look at this offensive ecosystem, Trey McBride, 1,100-yard receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr., if he can get to that level, and then Kyler Murray, and then this run game, is that enough for them to go where they want to go, barring, them executing and getting to those levels?
Well, I mean, they've got, Michael Wilson, they've got Zay, so, I mean, they picked him up. They've got some guys that could be the 2 or 3, but, the majority of targets should go to Trey and should go to Marvin, when you're looking to go down the field. So that's not unusual to have 2 guys. The Eagles have basically 2 guys they go to down the field. You go across the league. Sometimes I don't think you don't need 2 number ones. You don't need 4 guys. You need a guy that, opposite Marvin and Trey that can go beat the second corner, the third corner, zone coverage, be able to find a way to get open, to go catch that 40 to 50, catch, season. So I think they have guys that could do that. They need Marvin and Trey to be great, be healthy and to be great. That's what they need.
Baldy, I saw a stat before we started recording, the highest 10-yard rush percentage in the NFL. Cardinals were number 1. the number 2 through 4 teams, Ravens, Lions, Packers, Bucks, all made the playoffs. Cardinals, the only team last year not to make the playoffs. I think a big point of contention with our show is it's got to be greater than just the run game, right? Because I know that Paris and Yeldefrold and Isaiah Adams, Tip Ryman, like they can run with anybody.
Yeah.
But with Kyler Murray in particular, can you get enough from him this year to elevate this to a 10, 11, 12 win team?
Well, he has to play big in big moments, not just big games, but big moments. We saw the interception the other day. It was he didn't see the corner. For whatever reason, didn't see it. Like they had a nice drive going, they couldn't finish it. He knew it as soon as he threw it that he didn't see him. So he just, he needs to, like, you're not going to go through a season where you're not turning the ball over. But I mean, look, Lamar Jackson threw 4 interceptions in 17 games. Now he fumbled a few times, but you got to keep the mistakes down. And when you get a chance to, last year I just remember distinctively in Minnesota, a chance to win the game. He didn't play good in the second half. And that was a playoff team on the road. Those are games that are winnable. You need your quarterback to make 2 or 3 big throws and not turn it over in those spots. And so it's all out there for him. The contract, the health, all that stuff, the team around him is much better than it's ever been. And so now it's a question of just relax and go play and show everybody that you're an elite player, become an elite player. And it's really on Kyler at this point right now. There's not a lot. The defense is going to get the ball back. They're going to be a good side of the ball this year. To me, when you get a team that has been built now for 3 years with Monty, and it's a pretty good looking squad right now, pretty good depth across the board, offensive line, defense front, pretty good depth if the injuries occur. I feel like it's up to Kyler right now to elevate the players around him to get him into playoff contention and to get there.
How much pressure is on K1's shoulders, legs in order, to elevate himself, this team going into year 7? Is it considered make or break?
Well, I remember similar question. I remember talking to Joe Burrow early last year, and he knew the defense wasn't good. And he was saying things like, I got to be perfect, Baldy. And it wasn't like, okay, I got to complete every pass. But when the opportunities are there to score, we've got to score because we're going to have a hard time keeping teams down. Like, I don't think Kyler has to have that mentality. Joe raised his game with that mentality. I mean, he probably played the best he ever played last year. He was phenomenal. But, they lost a lot of shootouts because the defense wasn't good. But I would say for Kyler, like, everything that's ever been said about him isn't necessarily wrong or anything else. It doesn't matter. Like, he has to – he's in very much his prime. Like, if he's going to be a guy that we talk about, then he's got to get this team to the playoffs because we really only talk about players at that position that can consistently get their team to the playoffs. Lamar, Josh, Patrick, Jalen, like, we know who they are. If he wants to be in that category, then he's got to raise his game. And if he raises his game, then, they're going to profit because of it.
You bring up a good point. The Kingsbury years, the roster construction was very much built, veteran free agents, win now mentality, but older players, AJ Green, JJ Watt. The unique part with this second act for Kyler Murray, Baldy, is this team is built on youth, athleticism, draft and develop. Talk to us about some of the players that you like, whether it's Isaiah Adams, Jordan Birch, Will Johnson. I mean, they have done a really nice job in supplementing this team with young, exciting players that haven't even entered their prime yet. Look,
Isaiah Davis is a 3rd-round pick. He's your starting guard. I think he's going to be just fine. You can find starting guard. Like, it's preferable if you can find Evan Brown, Isaiah Davis. They're good. Froholt's been, is excellent inside. James Conner, the last 2 years, he's probably as good at 2 years as he's had in this whole league. Mm-hmm. And that's not supposed to really happen. But when you mentioned that stat, it caught my eye. I'm like, James had a lot of those, 10-yard plus runs. He's a hard guy to tackle. Like, I felt like there's still a lot of football left in James. And obviously you got Trey behind him and, they've got some other players. But I feel like Will Johnson is going to be a really good player. Now, he got flagged the other day, in the end zone. It's a touchy call. Sometimes you can make that play, but he's not afraid to challenge and get his hands. Like, he's a really good player. So I feel like man, they've got guys back there that have real skills. Buddha, Will, Jalen, like they've got Bo, like they've got some or Melton. They got some real guys back there right now. I think that can flourish defensively. So they've got a good blend of youth. We'll see what Darius becomes. Like I'm anxious to see Darius what he does this season, and especially being around a lot of veteran players, Dalvin, Calais, Josh, guys who've been in this league. Like I think it's important for him to be around real pros. And I saw, like even with Calais, like I saw Zach Sealer raise his game in Miami to the point where he's an elite player right now.
Yeah.
And it will be paid for it. But like I think Darius, he's got I know he's a professional. I know he's serious about the game. We got to see if, the approach and the talent takes off this year and becomes a dominant defensive lineman.
Yeah, let's stay with Will Johnson a little bit. You did a great breakdown at Baldi's at Baldi NFL. You can find it across all your social channels. You can see his analysis on Will Johnson. But there's a lot of fanfare surrounding this pick. His slide to 47 because the medical that came kind of late in the pre-draft period. But what we saw at Michigan, 9 career picks. He's the defensive player of the game in the title game. He's got more touchdowns on the defensive side than he's surrendered as a Wolverine. I mean, what do you see that, especially just from a sample size, but what are you confident can translate from Michigan to the NFL right away for him?
Well, I mean, he went against elite competition. They got through the playoffs, all that kind of stuff. I think he's got real ball skills travel, like, from high school to college to the pros. Sometimes those guys that, can catch the ball, can take the ball away. They see it quicker. They've got their eyes are quicker than their hands. They see the release from the quarterback. They read the routes. Like they're just, not every team has them, like there's some great corners in this league. Sauce Gardner has not shown those kind of skills. He's paid to be the best corner in this league, but he has never shown those kind of skills. So, look, if you're defending passes and you're keeping guys out of the end zone, that's worth a lot right there. But when you could take it away and be a threat like he was at Michigan, to not just take it away, but score. Because I remember Deion Sanders one day telling me that the only good defense is a scoring defense. And that's what he prided himself in. And there are guys that think like that. They think like, okay, we've got to score, not just take it away, not just stop touchdowns, but we got to score touchdowns. I feel like Will has the whole package, all those abilities. And so I think when you have a guy that can go up, it would be interesting to see if Nick allows him to travel with real number ones, if he goes on Puka, when they play the Rams, like, if he goes on Jackson Smith and Jigba, when he plays Seattle, it'll be interesting to see if he travels. Cause I have a feeling like that's a guy that can do those kind of things at corner.
Looking around the NFC West, we led our show with it today. I mean, the Niners have roster deterioration. They've got injuries up and down that franchise. Matthew Stafford has not practiced yet, right? And that he's an aging player already with a bad back. And then Seattle uprooted their starting quarterback. They shipped out DK Metcalf. And here's Arizona with all the continuity in the world. All the coordinators are back. They refortify this roster in free agency in the draft. At what point do you say with this regime and this quarterback, like sit or get off the pot? Like, is it a must win postseason kind of year, or do you, and as a result, will changes be made, do you think, if they don't do that?
I don't know if they'll make changes. I don't know how they're thinking, at the very top, but, man, like even if you made the statement and you put it on a t-shirt and everybody wore it, why not us? Like that's almost a negative connotation. Like, go take the division's wide open to me.
Yeah.
Seattle won 10 games last year. All right. They got a new quarterback. They got to replace DK. Like, all right, Mike McDonald's in his second year. You're further along than what Seattle is at this point right now. San Francisco, they don't look like an elite team to me. They're trying to rebuild their entire defensive front. Arizona's got a better defensive front right now. They just do. And I think their offense line is every bit as good, if not better, than San Francisco's. So, like, why not? Like, I believe that if Matt Stafford sits out until September 5th, it doesn't throw a ball because of his back, and they go play Buffalo, they're going to have a chance to win. He's just that type of player. But it has been tough to keep him healthy for 17 games. And so then you're looking at Garoppolo and, whatever else they have there. So, I believe that this is a season where they've been building here in Arizona. Like, it would be, to me, it would be a major disappointment if they don't go contend for this division title.
I want to get back to that defensive line real quick. We were kind of Cardinals fans have to delay seeing this revamp front. I mean, and they know what to expect from Calais, and Dalvin's not going to play in the preseason, and Walter Nolan, he's got the calf, so we're not going to be able to see him. But we did get to see a top 100 pick in Jordan Birch, Baldy. I mean, this guy, he comes off the edge. He's 6'5". He's playing at 290. He had 2 sacks that were nullified by penalties that he wasn't involved in. What did you see from 52 out there, if anything, on Saturday?
Like a big blur, honestly. Like, I had to go back and kind of research who he was because I didn't know at the top of my head. Then I remember they took him in the 3rd round. But there's going to be a place. There's going to be a place for him, whether it's in a rotation, whether it's a particular package. Like, I think they're going to get him on the field. Size matters. It's a shame what happened to Walter because that's sort of what happened to Darius last year. And you lose a big chunk of the season when you're not playing, you're not learning. And so then you're almost in that category of a second half player right now. I've seen it happen to Kalijah Cansey in Tampa. Same thing, same exact injury. And you just don't know. It's hard to predict. But I feel like Birch is a guy that I'm looking forward to watching this weekend and just see, if there's even more of what we watched in that first game.
Last question, Baldy, and we'll stick on that defensive front. You mentioned Josh Sweat. It's a guy that played late into postseason football last couple of years and had his best season under Jonathan Gannon a couple of years ago, 11 sacks. Like, he has not hit that mark since JG left. Is that realistic to expect now with this revamped defensive line? Can Sweaty J get back to double digits here in Arizona?
That's a lot. They had 70 that year. So, there was plenty to go around, so it was crazy. But, look, I remember when Josh Sweat came out of college, he had a major knee injury. People just said he was on a pitch count. It was just eventually it was all going to – but, he really – I think he surpassed anybody's thought in Philadelphia of what he could do. So, the fact that Nick and Jonathan, believe in him and saw the work ethic and how he overcame that knee, and it doesn't look like it's ever really bothered him since he came out. He's been able to play right through it. And so can he get 11? That's always a good year for any edge rusher is to get 11. But I feel like the minimum for this group is 40, and 50, they should approach 50, especially the way Nick can dial up pressures and get free hitters to the quarterback. Zaven's going to be out there. We saw him rushing the passer and Barron. It's a pretty deep group. So it's just a question of, I think I know how Jonathan thinks. Let's just rotate him through. We have abundance of starters. Let's keep them fresh, and let's play for an 18-game schedule, not a 17-game schedule. Let's play for a playoff berth. And so keeping those guys healthy and fresh is paramount as you sort of endure the season.
Unbelievable insight and analysis from our guy, Baldy. Baldy, where are you this weekend? Are you covering any games?
Well, I'm going to see the Jets-Giants scrimmage tomorrow and Cleveland and Philly scrimmage on Thursday. And then I'm going to fly to L.A. on Friday. I'll be in the studio watching all the games this weekend and breaking them down in the studio. So, which is a fun assignment because then I can go look for, different guys like Jordan Birch and see how they're doing, keep track of them.
We're looking forward to it. So pumped to have you back in the fold for another season of Baldy's breakdowns for Cardinals fans, specifically to get more insight on their favorite team. Baldy, can't wait to talk to you soon here on PHNX Cards. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I feel the same way, guys. Look, talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thanks, Baldy.